Please help me welcome Melanie Stark.
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and honored guests, on November 28, 2018, a 13-year-old boy by the name of Max Benson was restrained by being held face down on the floor by 2 staff members at Guiding Hand School in El Dorado Hills for nearly 2 hours. He later died. I declare our kids deserve better. I would love to go into the details of how the school grossly exaggerated his size, his aggression, and his disability to the press in order to make it look a little bit better on their side. But I've only got 10 to 12 minutes to convince you to write to your representatives to call for the abolishment of the use of restraint and seclusion in the classrooms. So I will summarize by telling you that Max Benson was on the autism spectrum. He was no more or less autistic than probably some of the members of our club in this room right now. But the public school system failed Max. And so they sent him and many other students to a private, for-profit institution in El Dorado Hills and used public funds, your tax dollars, to pay the tuition. Non-public schools like Guiding Hands are not subject to the same scrutiny and regulations as public schools. How many of you knew that in California, it is legal at a private school for them to spank your child? Did anybody know that? So I just found that out myself. I declare our kids deserve better. Now, many of you have met my son, Magnus. He came to the club with me before, and he went to our Christmas party. And if you haven't met him in person, you've probably heard all about him from the numerous speeches I've given about him in the years I've been a member of Toastmasters. Magnus was also a student at Guiding Hand School for nearly 3 months. And in early November, I filed a report with the California Department of Education because Magnus was coming home from school with scratches and bruises on a daily basis. This is a picture of a black eye that supposedly his teacher gave him. Well, I'll say supposedly because I have documentation of that. Now you might wonder, why didn't I just pull him out of the school if that's happening? Well, the problem is there's not a lot of placements for our special needs children, and we have been through so many different placements. Guiding Hand School was the only school in the greater Sacramento area that offered the type of occupational therapy that my son desperately needs. Now, when I filed my report, I was met with a lot of opposition from the school district and from the administration of the school. But I stuck to my guns and I said, look, if there's really nothing going on and you're really doing everything by the book, then there should be nothing wrong with completing this investigation. Then Max died. And our investigation was pushed to the forefront. The department continued their investigation into my son's case, and they found that physical interventions were used on him 61 times. This is in less than a 3-month period. I had been made aware of about 20 of those times. I was already outraged at 20. I'm still trying to wrap my head around 61 times. And I know for a fact that at least 7 of those times, they put my little boy in the same face down restraint as Max Benson. But my little Magnus got to come home and he survived. And I got to hold him on Christmas morning. And Max Benson's mom will never be able to do that again. So I declare that our kids deserve better. My son Magnus's case was only one of 3 ongoing investigations into Guiding Hand School at the time of Max's death. And since then, I've been contacted by numerous other parents and former students who suffered abuse not only at Guiding Hands, but other non-public schools in the greater Sacramento area. Now I know that you all are great people, and you're probably sitting there thinking, I sympathize with you. I can't even imagine this. I'm so glad I don't have a child with special needs or a child in the school district at all right now. I'm so glad that I'm not going through this. And maybe you're thinking that this doesn't personally apply to you, but I need you to think again. Last year, the Elk Grove Unified School District spent $1.8 million of public funds sending students to Guiding Hands School. And that's just one school. That's not to mention all of the other schools that they funneled public funds to. These are for-profit institutions in Sacramento, Orangevale, Roseville, Lodi. The director of Guiding Hands makes a personal salary of over $200,000 per year. This is your tax dollars that you pay to our public schools. You entrust these schools to provide education for your children, your grandchildren, your nieces, your nephews, your neighbors, our future Toastmasters, the future leaders of our country, and the very people who are going to be caring for us when we're too old to care for ourselves. This is our legacy. And we need to declare together that our kids deserve better. Can you say that with me? Our kids deserve better. One more time. Our kids deserve better. On January 10th, the Department of Education issued a decertification to Guiding Hands School, meaning that public schools could no longer send students there. But a judge granted the school a 2-week stay to allow them time to gather their case to fight against this decertification. Late last night, the school released a statement that although they admit to no fault, they will voluntarily give up their certification in order to sell their business to another corporation with a new name that will employ the same staff. So essentially, the same school with a new name. Their argument is this will save 70 jobs, and it will save all of the school districts the inconvenience of having to find new placements for all of the children who were students at Guiding Hands. I say our kids deserve better. We need to look at the bigger picture here. If we allow this private corporation to get away with this, then we're sending a message to California that we value money and convenience over the life, dignity, and safety of our children. Good enough is not good enough. By eliminating this option for the districts, we will be forcing them to create new and better programs within our public schools to keep our public funds within our own community. I'm personally working with an advocacy group right now to create such programs that will benefit our children and our community at large. Why? Say it with me. Because our kids deserve better. So I ask you, nay, I implore you, to write to your government representatives and urge them to abolish the use of restraint and seclusion in the classrooms. after my speech, I'll provide you a handout with the names and addresses of the representatives that need to be contacted. And I also have a form letter that you're welcome to use or you're welcome to write in your own words. I'll also be sending around a sign-up sheet if you would like. I won't add you to any list. This would just simply be for one email that I can send you with all of the same information on the handouts in digital form. That way you can copy and paste. My fellow Toastmasters, my friends, and my fellow citizens of California, it's time that we take a stand for my son, Magnus, for all the children who have been shortchanged by the public school system, and most importantly, for Max Benson. Will you join me right now as we say one more time, our kids deserve